start introducing myself. That's okay. That's all right. So my name is Derek Fetzer, co-founder of CaringCrowd. John Brennick over there, also co-founder of CaringCrowd. And many years ago, we came together and pitched to the senior management of Johnson & Johnson CaringCrowd. I'm going to share a little bit about that story. We don't come here today as experts in crowdsourcing or even crowdfunding, but we want to share our experience with you and really see how opportunities might develop and where it might go, right? So just bear with us for a second longer. That's a good, there we go.
Save some room.
There we go. Great, thank you. So this all started many years ago in 2013, and when I was working at Johnson & Johnson on a project for tuberculosis, I found myself in a shanty town in Lima, Peru. This was a district that was heavily hit by tuberculosis. And there we met this lady, and she delivered medications to the different tuberculosis patients throughout that shanty town. You know, she really is the hero here. It's incredible because, you know, I was talking to her and I asked her I was wondering, how long can you do this? You're climbing the sides of mountains. It's not a friendly environment. It has its dangers as a neighborhood. What keeps you going? And she says, well, I've been doing this for 20 years. And I thought, wow, I thought, I could do this maybe for a couple of days. So what keeps you going? Why do you do this? And she said, well, 20 years ago, I was sick with tuberculosis, and I was scared, I was alone, I was poor, I was sick. I do not wish that on anybody. I do not wish that on anybody, period. And so she's been doing that free of charge. She's part of a volunteer organization of 600 people like her that have basically brought down the incidence and prevalence of tuberculosis in Peru. But there she's looking at, my team, the several people in back of her, right, very well fed and tall. And she just asks us the question, how can J&J help us, right? And it's a very embarrassing question because I can't just start writing checks and figuring out what I can do, right? J&J has 130,000 employees, very passionate about health, want to help people out, but we just can't start writing out checks to anybody that's doing good doing good in the world. But that's where John and I got together and we started thinking, what can we do? What can we do to help out all these great nonprofits that are really grassroots, right? They're streamlined, they're efficient. They don't have marketing budgets. They don't have extensive grant writing skills, but they're doing the job they're coming from local communities. What can we do to help them, right? And that's where we came up with crowdfunding, right? And really started building the platform for this effect. And shortly after that, we launched CaringCrowd in September 2016 at the Global Citizen Festival in New York City. And just want to show you here a quick video.
We go somewhere. Learn something new. Read a little. Watch a lot.
Make friends.
We follow.
We lead.
And suddenly,
We realize how much we care.
we don't want to just make a difference.
We want things to change for good.
Alone, we care quietly.
But together, we care out loud.
Because caring is where change begins.
I think I've seen that 10,000 times and it doesn't grow old for me. So out of 500 platforms that are out there doing crowdfunding, right, what is it what's the uniqueness of CaringCrowd? And really it's the credibility we bring to it, right? There's the name of Johnson & Johnson that's attached to the platform. There's also experts that review the projects. So health is an important issue, and so nobody wants to feel that they're just throwing money at a project that actually doesn't produce a health benefit. So we have experts coming from recognized institutions that help judge the projects to allow them to be on the platform at all. We also won awards. We won the People's Choice Award at South by Southwest last year, and Fast Company's Innovation by Design. So those awards, well, they're nice to have, but they still add credibility, right? So you have the J&J name, you have the experts from an advisory, forming an advisory panel, and the awards. So that's what allows the project owner, the people on the platform, to gain credibility for their projects and go out, right? So now it's gone from something like, the crazy aunt who's out in some African country trying to raise money for their pet project, and all of a sudden, oh, wow, she's doing that, and it's serious, it's bona fide, right? There's all sorts of credibility markers associated with that. So over the last couple of years, actually that was taken last week, but now we're at 1,050,000 has been mobilized, and actually J&J provides some matching to that. So more than $1.5 million has been mobilized to nonprofits working on health projects around the world. More than 7,000 members, almost 200 projects successfully funded. But the important thing here isn't really the number, right? That is the $1 million+ dollars. It's that money used in underserved communities, how far that goes, right? So that money has actually directly helped 500,000 people, right? It's touched their lives, and indirectly double that amount. So that's really, it's not the Kickstarter thing where it's, okay, 20 million for virtual reality gadget, and that's a huge success. This is how many people's lives were improved. All right, so to give you a little bit of a flavor for the types of projects, this project, the project owner and the nonprofit itself was founded by a man who lost his daughter to a flu. Could have been vaccinated, but he lost his daughter. And so, for $7,000, he's able to help underinsured get flu vaccinations for hundreds of kids, right? And it's only $7,000. Right here, there's for $16,000. This project was to help buy machinery to create sanitary napkins for women to keep those girls in school. 10 children got life-saving surgery, heart surgery in India for only 10. So 10 of them for $10,000. The doctor donated his time, just needed to cover the materials, right? And in this case, this was to help keep the children of sex workers out of the brothel altogether, right? And that basically helped out hundreds of kids for only $6,000. So what I wanted to do, that's to give you a flavor of CaringCrowd and what its mission is. I wanted to talk a little bit more about the human aspect of it, right? Because I mean, over the last 2 days, I've been hearing a lot about blockchain and cryptocurrency and a lot of the technological features and crowdsourcing this way and that way. But the human element, I think, is incredibly important. That's what I wanted to touch on and share the experience here with you, right? So one of the things that, especially when you look at it from the point of view of a corporation like Johnson & Johnson, it's monolithic, it's huge, 130,000 employees. Generally, the VPs and the executives get on board and they say, we're going to do this, and they try to enroll as many people as they can into whatever they're trying to achieve, right? But the crowdsourcing is the other direction, right? That is, how are you going to provide a structure by which the employees can pursue their own agenda, their own passions, and not being really just trying to associate themselves with an executive who has a specific agenda, which is fine. But I think we're seeing this upswelling within Johnson & Johnson of of employees who are getting incredibly engaged and going far beyond the boundaries of their regular job, and that's what I want to share with you. And again, this is within, while those employees are doing their, they're following their passions, it still is within the context of the company mission, which is health, right? So let's take the example of Zach. Zach is a 27-year-old analyst in IT, okay? And unfortunately, a friend of his dies in a schizophrenic incident, right? And so he wants to honor the memory of his friend and starts on CaringCrowd a project for $10,000 to help out 600 family members who have a loved one that's ill with a similar disease, right? So he actually raises the $10,000 in about 4 weeks. And he's thinking, wow, that's pretty cool. So then he realizes, I can do more than that. I can do more than this crowdfunding campaign. And he goes on and creates a Slack community for mental health. Now, with that, he says, now I have a community, I'm going to go back and raise more money. And he raises $30,000 in about 8 weeks' time, right? So now, he's snowballing, right? That produces him talking to the CEO, Alex Gorski, the CEO of Johnson & Johnson. So he has a conversation and he's getting support from him. Then he goes and creates his own app and ends up within Johnson & Johnson talking about how to, this whole snowball effect of how things can grow far beyond what you ever dreamed. And now he's a TEDx speaker. So all of this started with that one project. If we take Carolyn Cameron, interesting, she's also a J&J employee. Carolyn wants to go to Uganda to adopt a child. She goes to Uganda. While she's in Uganda, the legislation changes and says, if you want to adopt, you have to stay within Uganda for 1 year before you can take the child out. So that's a deal breaker. Nobody can, spend that much time. But what she decides to do is go on CaringCrowd and raise money. In this case, it was about almost $50,000 to basically adopt the orphanage. That is, she's going to take care of the orphanage. And so she starts actually providing, through this crowdfunding campaign, basic infrastructure requirements for that orphanage, benefiting more than 100 orphans. The interesting thing is, after she does that, she gets, there it is, $51,000, and she did that in very little time. After that experience, she gets involved with Cherish America, that's now providing solar-powered, solar energy to orphanages in Africa. Completely different. She never predicted this trajectory. The prior, Zach never predicted his trajectory either, right? And here we have the case of Diego. Diego's a doctor based out in Warsaw, Indiana. He's a doctor for J&J. He's from Honduras, and on his last vacation to Honduras, there's a small village that they just don't have any clean water. He goes on to CaringCrowd, and he was very well organized as a doctor, I'll have to say, because in 10 hours he raised $37,000, right? So he had everything. So the minute he hit go, he contacted everybody. He had everybody lined up, and so in 10 hours, basically, $37,000. But that's what he's living now, right? Now he's looking at his next project. Now he goes to Honduras, he interacts with them and looking at what's the next need. Or maybe is it another adjacent village that needs the same type of help, right? But now he's engaged in a far different way, and he's being very creative and figuring out what are the next steps. On a similar case, I don't have any slides here, but Robin was an anorexic, and Robin wanted to raise money to help get some anorexics in the state of New Jersey treated. And she did it in a very, let's say generic way, right, at the beginning. But when she started sharing her story, of anorexic and what it was like to grow up that way, and all the fears that she had, people started contributing a lot more, and she got her project was successfully funded. Because of that, two things happened. Well, she also became a TEDx speaker at J&J talking about that experience, but now she runs storytelling sessions once a month in New York and in New Jersey to help people just tell their story, to inspire others with some similar mental illnesses to talk about it and get over the stigma and get support and basically just help people understand that a lot of people are hurting out there and you can help, and you might be hurting yourself. But in any case, a trajectory she did not predict. So this is the common theme amongst these that I see happening, right? Is that a lot of people all of a sudden find themselves on the crowdfunding campaign for whatever reason. They didn't go running to it. Is usually because John and I had an initial point of contact, a conversation, or with somebody we know. And then they look at it and they realize, I can do this, and getting to that point is very difficult, right? These are professionals from, everyone that I shared with you is a professional from J&J, but they're all intimidated. They don't know if they can do this, right? They have to help, they need help getting to that point of, I can do this. And once they do it, it's, oh my God, there's so much more I can do. Right? So that's kind of my question here is that you have these hero stories that are unfolding. We can't predict how they're going to unfold, right? These hero stories inspire other people to step forward, right? When you hear the stories of Zach, when you hear the stories of Robin, and other people come forward, hey, if that person can do it, I can too, right? So the question that I have from a crowdsourcing point of view, and that's just kind of the opportunity, is how can we facilitate an individual snowballing of impact, right? Because at the end of the day, you're crowdsourcing, true, that's a mechanism, there's a structure, but if you want to get people to populate it and engage in this, how does that experience follow them, and how does it move forward, right? How can other people see it evolved or be part of that, right? So when people saw, for example, in Robin's case, that she had come out and started talking about anorexia, other people became inspired to talk about their own issues as well and start crowdfunding for things that they felt passionate about, right? So again, I think for me the experience here is just how can we look at crowdsourcing to help encompass this and facilitate it and make more and more heroes step forward and do good in the world, right? So when I look at public health projects, right, we're, as CaringCrowd, we're just doing this part here, funding, right? But there's so much more that needs to be done. Obviously, this is the crowdsourcing vision, right? The ultimate crowdsourcing vision. And I think there was another speaker that was talking about it earlier today, and the modularity as a software engineer that Naveen, I think he was talking about it. But what would be the next big thing? So we finally got the crowdfunding aspect in gear. It's moving forward. What would be the next best element to crowdsource and start integrating that into, say, a CaringCrowd type environment where all of this comes together, where basically somebody could say, say somebody starts off and they need a water, right? They need a water well, right? And they say, okay, well, which is the best water well for me, given that I live here in this context, right? Who are the people then that need to deliver? Right? What type of goods do I need? What type of materials? How much money do I need? And who's going to run? What's the labor look like? So ultimately, we'd love to work towards that crowdsourcing capability. And again, we're not crowdsourcing experts. We're just trying to solve a problem. And if people that want to work on that with us, please contact John Brennick or myself. And with that, I'll just open up to any questions. Yeah.
It sounds like it was something like a pivot when you went down to Lima.
Yeah.
What happened there where you thought that crowdsourcing would be the answer? Because that's still pretty early on.
Right.
As far as I'm not even sure this conference was happening.
Right.
It was just starting. So where did that come from?
So it was in 2013, and we were there for a project on tuberculosis. She needed help. We were trying to deliver, we were trying to actually do a very different type of project, and it fell through because of funding. We were working with a nonprofit. The issue became, right, who puts what, and then the gamesmanship ultimately comes in. It was, okay, that's is that nonprofit in Massachusetts going to pay more money? And so between all of that, then it just fell through, right? And that's where John and I were looking at it and saying, well, the funding is the issue here. How are we going to address this? Because this type of game playing is going to happen all the time. And that's actually what we saw as the value proposition of crowdfunding, is that lady, for example, or the organization she was working with, could ultimately say, I don't need to depend upon the Massachusetts branch of the nonprofit. I don't even need to depend on a J&J, right? I can do this myself. I can get the funds we need, right? And so that's basically what happens with the crowdfunding. It's really how you were able to disaggregate all that decision making and basically have somebody come forward and say, this is my best foot forward. Either I get money for it or I'm not, or I walk away, right? Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Sorry? Yeah. Any other questions? No? Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.